Hey again everyone, and welcome back to the channel for another installment in our new figure showcase series, where I take a look at a new figure I'm adding into my collection. And today we're going to be looking at the latest release from Soosoo Toys, which is the Gentlemoon, or as we all know at this point, it's the Mr. Knight personality from the Moonknight Disney Plus Marvel show. Now, as a Marvel fan who actually enjoyed the show, getting this figure was a no-brainer. What was surprising to me was that it took a third-party company to do it, and Hot Toys didn't tackle this version of the character. Especially after, honestly, how well Moon Knight seemed to have been released. But fortunately, this is where third-party companies have stepped in. Now, there have been other third-party versions of this particular character that have been released, but when Soosoo teased theirs, there was just no doubt that I would wait for that one. It's just Soosoo continues to be the top of the third-party game at this point, or if they're not the top, they're near the top. And then you also have Thunder Toys, who's doing the Khonshu figure. And question is, ultimately, are we going to get anything else from this series from other companies? Frankly, I hope so, especially that Scarlet Scarab, because the line is quickly becoming one of my favorites from the recent set of Marvel outings. But we're here to take a look at Mr. Knight himself. So I've been really looking forward to getting him in hand, and Soosoo gave us a nice package here. It's not terribly crazy in terms of accessories. You get the standard set of hands, which is pretty typical for these kinds of releases. You get some weapons, the moon-shaped daggers, as well as the batons, the scarab piece from the show, as well as a small statue of Khonshu, which is a great piece if you've watched the show at all. And then you do get the unmasked sculpt, which is a highlight for this figure. You also get an alternate look, which is a short sleeve shirt, and the standard Soosoo display stand. So, pretty decent set overall, but again, nothing crazy. So let's get into things, and we're going to start with the hand, as is our norm. Now, look, you get a bunch of different pairs, from clenched fists to gripping hands for the batons and the crescent blades, as well as some more relaxed ones that you can actually use to hold some of the other accessories, like the statue of Khonshu and the scarabs. And you also get some splayed out posing hands. These are all pretty nicely done, white gloved hands. Not much detail, to be honest, but there is still some nice texture to them, and there is a faint bit of detailing along the cuff of the glove that looks nice and carries through to a notch on the bottom that we're not really seeing here, but we'll see once I put the hands on the figure. Next, you get the first set of weapons, which are pretty much exclusive to Mr. Knight on the show, and those are these batons. Now, I do think these are pretty cool, to be honest. They're a nice silver paint with a gold paint application at the tips, but what really makes these pieces stand out to me are the engraved glyphs. It really gives it that Egyptian feel of the character, looks great, and provides a nice unique look for this version of the Moon Knight personality to hold. Next, you get the crescent blades, and these are larger blades. The Hot Toys Moon Knight came with a variety of these, ranging from smaller to larger. Here you're just getting these pieces, and they do look great with a nice gold paint app and some engraved elements, giving it a nice visual distinctiveness, so it's not just a dull piece. They're pretty straightforward, but nice details as well. Although for Mr. Knight, I do like the baton look more. Now, these next accessories are actually really cool. You get the scarabs and a small statue of Khonshu. So if you watch the show, these are all important pieces to the mythology, and it's nice to have them in 6-scale format. Scarabs come in two forms, one with the wings splayed out, and the other is a contained piece. Paint apps are really well done, and the detail work is impressive with some great inlaid line work, recreating those finer details. And the statue of Khonshu is also nice, although one slight negative, the base on mine isn't placed well enough to let the statue stand on its own, so it does tip over. So good luck having this just standing in the display. But from a paint app and detail perspective, it's really nicely done with the same fine detailing on the carved out elements, showing the clothing and the headdress, so pretty nice overall. Next, you get a shirt to create the alternate look for Mr. Knight with rolled up sleeves. Look, nothing fancy here, just a plain white shirt with what seems like decent tailoring, but I will tell you right now, this is all we'll see of this one on this review. I'm just not going to put it on the figure, just because when we look at it, you'll see how many layers of clothing the figure comes with, and honestly, I'm a little concerned that once I remove all that, I'll never be able to get it back on and looking as pristine as it does now. So while I like to showcase almost everything for all of you, I just don't want to take the chance on this one. And then the final piece is the display stand, which is a now standard style for Soosoo, and this includes that diamond plate pattern with the Moon Knight Crescent Moon logo in the middle, and the nice variations of gray on the surface. So nicely done if you want to use it, although the figure doesn't really need it unless you're going super dynamic. Alright, so let's get into the figure itself, and we're going to start by taking a look at the mask sculpt. And it does have a light up feature, although I wasn't able to test it out, and I'll tell you why in a sec. But look, the sculpt itself looks awesome. It's a very simple one, with the moon on the forehead and the great recreation of the stitch line coming down the middle, and then skewing over to the side. But the mask itself is nicely done, following the profile of a face with the impressions clearly visible for the nose, mouth, eyebrows, and ears. The eyes are a nice bright white, so even without being lit up, there's still a nice variation there that sets them apart, and there's also a great texture to the mask, making it feel almost like a canvas style material. Now for the light up feature, they're doing something similar to what Hot Toys has done with some of the releases, and that's including this solid piece that slides under the sculpt to illuminate the eyes. Really easy to do. Now this one has no on-off switch, and you essentially just slide out the piece with the light and add in the battery. Unfortunately, mine did not come with a battery, so I wasn't able to use the feature, but I have talked to some friends, and I know some packages did include it, so I'm not sure if this is a widespread issue or if it's just mine. Now, the alternate sculpt we're getting here is the unmasked Stephen Grant sculpt, which is the persona that goes along with Mr. Knight, while Moonknight is Mark Spector's transformed personality. So look, again, the light is hiding away some of the sculpt's finer detailing, but Soosoo did a great job here recreating an amazing sculpt that looks like Oscar Isaac. Down to the disheveled sculpted hair, which looks awesome, to the 5 o'clock shadow, and the detailing for the wrinkles along the eyes and so on. It's pretty amazingly done. The eyes are the only slight nitpick I have here. I feel like I've seen Soosoo do a better job on the paint apps there in the past. It is a minor nitpick, though, because other than that, it looks great. And it does seem to be swappable with the Moonknight figure, so I might do a follow-up to showcase that. It's a great sculpt, though, and for those of you trying to bash together figures, this could even be something maybe that you could use with an X-Wing pilot, Luke, to create a Poe Dameron. Okay, now onto the figure itself, and look, at first you think it's a guy in a white suit. Not the most exciting of looks, right? And we've seen Soosoo do that before with their version of Kingpin from Daredevil Season 3. So tailoring on that one and on this one is always on point. And the first striking thing, though, I have to say is the feel of the suit. It actually has a rubbery feel to it because all of the details creating the texture and the patterns on the suit and the vest and the pants are actually a rubber-like application. It looks great, and I wonder if they did it in an attempt to avoid some of the yellowing we got with that Kingpin figure. But there's a beautiful pattern here, and the jacket collar and the vest also have nice detail work that just brings it to life and makes it pop. And it also gives it a feeling of depth, so you won't just get lost in a plain white suit. The buttons are also a nice touch, giving you a slight color contrast, and the shirt and tie look equally good, and you have the nice detail of the included pocket square. And finally, his shoes. So they look like sneakers, but the nice touch is that they're actually covered in that mummy-like wrapping. So it's a great design, and a lot of that credit obviously goes to Marvel, but Soosoo killed it here recreating that. Look, figure is actually also highly posable, which I always think is a plus with double jointed elbows, and it feels sturdy, so even in splayed out poses, the figure held its balance nicely, and it just looks awesome. I'll reiterate what I said at the start of the video. It's surprising to me that Hot Toys didn't pursue the line further. If anything, at the very least, I would have expected the Mr. Knight persona from them, especially because I think the Moonknight figure itself performed really well for them. But Hot Toys and their decisions remains a mystery sometimes, and at least I'm glad that Soosoo stepped in to fill the void, because this figure is just stunning, and that's even without having the light up feature on, which honestly, with the work required to turn it on, is probably not something I'd be using extensively or at all. Again, there is that second look with just the rolled up sleeves, and if I had a second figure I might have done the swap, but when you see how nicely placed the suit is and the tie and the jacket, I again just didn't have it in me to mess that up. But it's there and would provide a nice alternate. But if you only have one figure, I just couldn't see myself showcasing the figure with anything but the suit because it's so good looking. So awesome figure overall, and Soosoo just continues to impress, and I appreciate third-party companies for filling these gaps, and it's always awesome when you have a third-party figure that really delivers, especially for the cost. Now, we do still have Khonshu on the way from Thunder Toys, and that'll be an incredible companion piece to this figure and to the Moonknight from Hot Toys. And part of me still hopes, again, that someone will take a chance and give us that Scarlet Scarab figure. I know I might be in the minority, but I actually liked her character and thought her final battle suit looked really good and would be another solid companion piece to these figures. But look, that's just a slight wish. And even as we stand now, I think the Moonknight line is going to end up being great, although it's surprisingly being created out of a mismatch of different companies and their products. So final thoughts, great figure, and if you are a fan of the property in Marvel, it's not a bad pickup. So let me know your thoughts on this one, and as always, thanks for spending some time with me, and if you're enjoying the content, please consider dropping a like, comment, or subscribing, and we'll touch base on the next video.